Yo, what's good, everybody? Today we are presenting a tier list of all 72 Pool 1 cards. It's gonna be a long list. We're gonna talk about every single one of them. Let's jump right into it. The first card we're talking about is Angel, and to be honest, Angel is kind of worthless even in destroy decks. He only flies out of the deck, so if you've got him in your hand, he's just a 1-drop for 2 power. We're gonna go ahead and drop him right in the C tier. The next card we're talking about is Ant-Man, and we just got to the good stuff right away because Ant-Man is an absolute beast. In all your Pool 1 decks, you're gonna be using Ant-Man. He is an essential card in Pool 1. We're gonna go ahead and drop him right there in S tier. And the next card is Blade, and Blade is a really cool card. He is a 1-drop that gives you 3 power. If you do put together a discard deck, Blade is essential. He can still be used in a non-discard deck. He still grants you a solid amount of power for only 1 energy. We're gonna go ahead and drop Blade into the B tier. And Elektra is up next. She's an incredibly useful control card for you. We're gonna go ahead and drop her right into B tier because you're gonna make good use of her. I personally do not like Hawkeye at all. I feel like he kind of telegraphs to your opponent where you're gonna put a card next. Guardians of the Galaxy cards are very prevalent, especially in Pool 1. If a Guardians of the Galaxy card gets played, then that's gonna negate the power that Hawkeye adds anyway. We're gonna change the D tier to the F tier, and we're going to drop Hawkeye right in there. Our next card is Iron Fist, who's a pretty cool card. Move decks don't work at all in Pool 1. I like Iron Fist, but in Pool 1, he's really not a great card. He becomes a lot better in Pool 2. We're gonna go ahead and put Iron Fist in B tier. Next on our list is Korg, and Korg is one of the best 1-drops that you can find. When he shuffles a rock into your opponent's deck on the first turn, your opponent ends up having over a 50% chance to draw that rock. He really hurts people's plans, and he's kind of the diet version of Iceman. I love Korg. He is one of the best 1-drops in the game. We're gonna go ahead and put him in S tier. Mantis is okay. You're gonna see that maybe I'm biased against the Guardians of the Galaxy cards because you gotta kind of guess what your opponent's doing, and she's gotta pull a good card. I'm dumping Mantis in C tier. There's nothing to say about Misty Knight. She's really just not a good card until you get to Pool 3. We're putting Misty in F tier. Nightcrawler is really cool. Easily one of my most used 1-drops in Pool 1. Nightcrawler is going to help almost every single deck. We're putting him in A tier. Nova is a really fun card, one of my favorites to play around with. He kind of becomes a little more relevant in Pool 2 with Killmonger available. With only a few ways to destroy him in Pool 1, Nova's gonna be placed right there in that B tier. Once you get a couple collection levels into the game, you really shouldn't be using Quicksilver. He's not a good card. We're gonna go ahead and dump Quicksilver in F tier. I've been mostly talking bad about the Guardians of the Galaxy cards, except that I think that Rocket Raccoon is actually the best Guardian of the Galaxy because he is a 1-cost card. That +2 added power, if you guess correctly, helps out tremendously. You're not really wasting too much time. He's a good guy to play on turn 1. Rocket is actually going in the A tier. Squirrel Girl can really only be relevant in certain decks. She's great for Carnage decks. She's great for Khazar decks. We're gonna go ahead and dump Squirrel Girl right there in the B tier. Uatu is a really neat concept, but in practice, Uatu kind of ends up disappointing a lot of times. If you don't draw him right away, then he becomes less and less relevant, and eventually he's just a 1-drop with 2 power. He's kind of like Angel. You need the perfect circumstances for Uatu to be relevant. Yondu is a really fun card to play. There is an argument that he's a little less relevant than it looks, but if you hit something really good and really useful for their plans, then Yondu ends up disrupting their entire strategy. I like Yondu a lot, but he could thin out the opponent's deck if you don't hit a really good card. So we're gonna go ahead and put him in B tier. We finally made it to the 2-cost cards, and we're starting with a bang. We got Angela right out the gate, and Angela is going to be one of the best pool 1 cards that you could possibly find, an easy S tier selection. She continuously grows that power and wins you lanes all by herself. Armor is one of the most valuable pool 1 cards in the sense that she protects you against a big portion of pool 1 decks, and that's against the destroy deck. If somebody drops a Nova and you put armor on top of that location, well, that person is not going to be able to destroy their Nova. Armor also protects all your 1-drops that are vulnerable from Electra and or any locations. Armor is an A tier card. Cable is a really fun card to use. He combos really well with Devil Dinosaur. He does a great job of getting you some extra cards and taking away cards from your opponent. He's similar to Yondu in that sense. We're gonna go ahead and put Cable in the B tier. Carnage is another big time favorite of mine. I really love using Carnage. He's gonna be a very, very good card in your destroy decks. You're gonna probably want to build around him. Carnage is just really fun. Unfortunately, once you get to pool 2, he becomes a lot less strong. But for pool 1, we're gonna go ahead and dump Carnage right there in the A tier. He can't be moved, destroyed, or have his power reduced. He's really great for those tough locations. I like Colossus a lot. Unfortunately, he doesn't get too much stronger, so we're gonna go ahead and put Colossus in that B tier. Domino doesn't do much. She doesn't provide much power for 2 cost. She doesn't provide an ability. We're gonna go ahead and dump her in the F tier. You shouldn't be using Domino. Forge is a very specialized card, but realistically, a 2-cost card that provides only 1 energy isn't really doing anything great unless it's for very specific decks. Craven is one of those guys that becomes really, really strong in pool 2 when you have a chance to make a really good move deck. Unfortunately, in terms of pool 1 cards, Craven ends up being a C tier. Lizard is a really nice card. He's got 5 power for 2 energy. If your opponent ends up having 4 cards at that location, then you're gonna lose 3 power from Lizard. Team him up with Punisher in the same location or Spectrum giving him a boost. Lizard still is very strong. We're gonna go ahead and put Lizard right there in the B tier. Medusa is honestly not a great card. 2 energy, she gets herself 4 power if you put her in the middle location. I would suggest getting Medusa out of your decks as soon as humanly possible. I'm gonna go ahead and drop her in the C tier. Mr. Sinister is a cool card. He combos well with certain things, but overall, Mr. Sinister doesn't have that much use. We're gonna put him in the C tier. Multiple Man is a really sick card and a great one when you have pool 2 cards and you can make specific move decks. Unfortunately, in pool 1, there's not enough move cards, and the ones that exist don't help him out too much, and for that reason, Multiple Man is gonna be a C tier card. Scarlet Witch is a fantastic card. She allows you to really control the locations that are on the board. Yes, it's random. Yes, you might not get the one that you wanted, but really, Scarlet Witch did such an incredible job in those spots that we're gonna go ahead and put her in S tier. Sentinel is a really cool card. Gives you 3 power for 2 energy, and he duplicates himself. He's very, very relevant in terms of a Devil Dino deck. We're gonna put Sentinel right there in B tier. Shocker's got no abilities. He doesn't really have anything. He's 3 power for 2 energy, and you can kind of get that anywhere. Shocker is gonna be an F tier. Star-Lord is another Guardians of the Galaxy card. Again, we don't really love them. You have to get lucky and really know that your opponent is gonna play a card at a specific location. All in all, he's not a bad card. If you do nail it, you get 5 power for 2 energy. We're gonna go ahead and put Star-Lord in the average / B tier. Wolverine's a fun card, but he doesn't bring much power. 3 power for 2 energy is okay. It's pretty average. He doesn't bring enough to the table outside of that. We're gonna put him in the C tier. Bishop is the first 3-cost card that we are talking about, and he's a damn good one. Bishop should be in a ton of your pool 1 decks. We are putting him right in the A tier. He brings a ton of power and he carries you. Bishop is an easy A tier. Captain America is a really cool card that combos well with others. If you put him at a location with a bunch of other cards or creatures, then Captain America gets a really good boost. I like him a lot. We're putting him in the B tier. Cosmo is an absolute beast. We see him do his thing all the time, even still in pool 2. That ongoing ability from Cosmo makes him such an incredible card, especially for pool 1. We're gonna go ahead and put him in the A tier. Cyclops has the coolest animation in the game, and he is maybe one of the most useless cards in the game. Unfortunately, Cyclops is an F tier. Deathlock is a really good card in destroy decks. He's going to help you get the job done if you don't have Carnage. The only issue is that's the only deck that Deathlock is really good in. We're gonna go ahead and put Deathlock in the C tier. Doctor Strange is another card that becomes much better once you reach pool 2. Doctor Strange doesn't have as much relevance in pool 1. We're gonna go ahead and put him in the C tier. Groot is once again a Guardians of the Galaxy card, and I really don't care for those. He's 3 energy, 3 power, and if you guess right on where your opponent's playing the card, he's gonna get himself +3. There's gonna be a lot of misses with him. We're putting Groot in tier C. Hulkbuster is a very solid card that is going to allow you to merge 2 different cards in the same location and kind of save space in those locations. We're gonna put Hulkbuster in the B tier. Ironheart is a great card that you get right away. She combos really well with Odin, and she provides 6 power right off the bat to 3 random cards. We're putting Ironheart in the A tier. Lady Sif is a great card when you're running Apocalypse. Unfortunately, if you're not running Apocalypse, she's a really bad card, so Lady Sif is gonna be C tier. Similar to Ironheart, Mr. Fantastic puts out 6 power on the field as soon as you play him in the middle. Mr. Fantastic is an A tier card, and he's everything that Medusa wishes that she was. Morph is the single most irritating card that you can deal with in this game. He always seems to turn himself into a 1-drop or a bad 2-drop, but when your opponent plays him, he turns into your best card. Morph, unfortunately, is just too random for me. I'm gonna have to put him in F tier because he never seems to work out the way you want. Punisher is a really solid card. He's kind of like Captain America. If you dump Punisher in there at the right moment, he's gonna be a solid B tier card for you. Swordmaster is very nice in terms of his 3 energy, 6 power. There's not a whole lot of other 3 drops that have that beat. All you have to do is discard a card. It's a random one in your hand, and there's bound to be a card that you don't mind losing. Swordmaster is a nice B tier card. Wolfsbane is one of the damn queens of pool 1. She is an absolutely incredible card that makes a variety of decks way better. Wolfsbane is an easy A tier. We're at the 4 cost cards, and we're starting with Enchantress, who is a great one. She removes the ability from all ongoing cards at a location. Remember that she also removes your ongoing abilities at said location, but even so, Enchantress may be the reason that you end up winning certain locations. She is an easy A tier. Jessica Jones is another potential win condition for you. When you drop her on turn 4 and you leave that location alone, she's gonna give you 8 power for only 4 cost. Jessica Jones is an easy A tier for me. She wins you a ton of locations by herself. Khazar is an absolute beast in pool 1 decks, especially since many people are running small creatures. There's a ton of 1 cost cards that get a big boost from Khazar, and people use them constantly. Khazar is an easy S tier. Moon Girl makes herself useful in a lot of decks, specifically in a Devil Dino deck. She's gonna be a solid B tier. In the right circumstances, Namor is an incredibly strong card at carrying a location by himself. We're gonna put Namor in that B tier. Strong Guy is a great card if you have the right circumstances, and those circumstances don't come around too often. You really need the perfect deck to build around him. We're putting Strong Guy in the C tier. We got nothing to say about the Thing. He is garbage, no abilities, only 6 power for 4 energy, not worth using. White Queen really does her thing and helps you figure out exactly what kind of decks your opponent may be using. For that reason, White Queen is going right there in the B tier. She is a really solid solid card. The next card is Abomination, and truly Abomination really lives up to his name because he is an abomination. This card is not good. He's gonna be fit right there in the C tier. Blue Marvel is a monster in your pull 1 decks. He is undoubtedly S tier. Blue Marvel makes everyone's deck that much better. He combos with a lot of the 6 drops that are popular. Blue Marvel is a beast for pull 1. If you build a deck around Devil Dinosaur, he is carrying you to a victory. Devil Dinosaur is a very, very good card. We love him here. We're putting him in the A tier. Gamora is all right. She's definitely one of the better Guardians of the Galaxy cards, but you still have to guess what your opponent's gonna do, and you have to be right. We're gonna take Gamora and we're putting her in the B tier. Just like in the movies, Iron Man is leading your team to victory. If you drop him at the right location at the right time, Iron Man is going to win you the entire game. That is an S tier card. Claw is a great card. He can really help you push power to a location that you otherwise wouldn't be able to touch. We're gonna go ahead and put Claw into the B tier. Professor X is an amazing card if you drop him at the right moment. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of times where I picked the wrong moment, but Professor X is gonna be solidly in the B tier. Spider-Woman is a pretty good card, but afflicting enemies with only -1 power gets her in the B tier. If she had a little bit better of an ability, then I could see Spider-Woman making it to A tier or maybe even S tier. In pool 1, White Tiger may be the difference between you winning a matchup and losing one. White Tiger works really well with Odin, which is one of the most popular 6-cost cards in pool 1. White Tiger's getting placed in that A tier. America Chavez is another one of my favorite cards to use. I strongly considered putting her in the S tier, but we're gonna go and put her in A. She helps to thin out your deck by only drawing from 11 cards for the first 5 rounds, and she's an automatic 9 power for you to drop on turn 6. I love using America Chavez. In pool 2, Apocalypse is basically an A tier card. However, in pool 1, there's not enough discard cards to make him super useful. We have to put Apocalypse in the C tier. Heimdall suffers from the same exact problems as Apocalypse. There's not enough good move cards in pool 1 for him to be really relevant. We gotta put him in the C tier as well. Hulk is not really a great card, but he does provide a ton of power in pool 1. There's really nobody else that matches 12 power for 6 energy. We gotta put Hulk in the B tier. Odin is a beast, easily one of the best 6-cost cards in pool 1. We gotta make him an A tier. If you build the proper deck around Odin, he is beastly. Onslaught is another great A tier card that you can build around in pool 1. If you put the right cards around Onslaught, your opponent is going to have no chance against you. And last but certainly not least is gonna be Spectrum. Spectrum is getting put solidly in that A tier. One of the most underrated cards in the game, in my opinion. So that's my pool 1 tier list in its entirety. I'm gonna leave it up on the screen for a few seconds so that you can pause it or take a screenshot if you really want to. If you guys want more in-depth looks at some of these cards, go check out my Marvel Snap beginners guides. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this list. Let me know in the comment section below if you think that I made any mistakes or you think that I ranked some people too high, too low. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed the content, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It helps out tremendously. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.